Hello. What's up, happy people? It's a new day, a Thursday. My name is Bear. I am barely watercoloring. Ain't that the truth? My coffee is at the ready. Full cup. Cheers to those who drink them. Ah, the good stuff. My audio, for anyone who's heard me before, might be a little bit different today. I'm trying out some new settings, so we'll see how it goes. Needless to say, the previous method was slightly overdoing it. The software that I use to help maintain the quality of the audio seems to be overdoing it. Let me fix my screen over here really quick. Yeah, so I use I have an NVIDIA brand graphics card, and it comes with some software called Broadcast, and it lets you use the graphics card to make the audio sound better. And it's got a beta version that's supposed to make it sound like a studio mic. And I think unless you're right up on the microphone, it overdoes it. And because I spend most of my time away from the microphone, it starts having issues picking me up. And when it comes back, it cuts me off before it starts broadcasting it. It gets really funky, right? Hey, Desert, welcome in. Woot for coffee? Amen, right? Yeah, but my figuring out how to get my mic working in a way that lets me move around a little bit has been wonky, so I experimented a little bit before stream today. I have my mic set to omnidirectional mode. I tried to stay away from it a little bit so that I still have room to move, but if I need to get close, I can. And I've tried it in my two main positions, sitting facing forward to do the painting, and then if I need to scoot over and sit at my computer, I can move the mic around and get it a little bit closer to me too. So it should hopefully be a good bit better. I'm also using some settings in the streaming app that's supposed to help enhance the mic quality too, so hopefully that's helping it out. Benik is in saying it sounds much clearer now. Thank you, appreciate that. It's my other half. Yeah. Oh, I have a message I did not see. Let's see. I'll respond to that awesome message in a bit. You know who you are. Ooh, you're rearranging some furniture? I can use words when I try to speak like a human. That's cool. No, please hang out, totally lurk. I need to add a lurk command. I don't know what it'll do, but I can figure out something. I'll try to find something cute and different. I like being different, so I'll try to find something unique. No, that's totally cool. I totally get it. Sometimes we get the bug to rearrange furniture simply for the sake of we can't stand it anymore and things need to change. If it's the same all the time, it's boring, right? And that's why they move art around in the museum, right? So yeah, all that aside, hi everybody, welcome in. What am I doing today? Well, you can tell by the title. I already said explicitly in there what I'm doing, making background wallpapers. But what does it mean, right? So I like doing things that are more abstract. Those of you that have been here for a while and watched me, that's kind of my, I don't want to say claim to fame. I have no fame and I have no claim on it. Abstract is my thing, and the reason for that is because I'm only a year and change into painting ever. So I'm still very much a student. I'm still very much learning, practicing, figuring out new things as I go, getting slightly better as time goes on, hopefully. Because of that, I try to lean more toward inspiration and creativity and coming up with random, stupid, silly things to do, especially the ones that end up being more fly by the seat of my pants and more abstract. I like that stuff better. Still, if I take the time and truly practice and prepare, I can do anything, right? But I only have a limited time here, and since I don't have a tremendous amount of technical skill, I can't do that part quickly. If I were to do it here, just preparing something properly would take the entire length of the stream, and that would probably be boring for anyone watching. For some people would enjoy it, I'm sure, because it's methodical, right? But in preparing something that would take, someone else 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I would take literally 3 hours or more potentially to do it all right. Like lining my Voyager painting that I did, which is like chilling here in the background behind the scene over there in the top right. The little Voyager with the green or nebula little being pushed away in the top right corner there. The lining on that took me a while because I had to take off my glasses, get real up close to it, and really focus on getting them perfect as much as I could before I even hit any paint on the paper. So someday I will get around to doing some of that. I may start something at the end of a stream and then finish it off stream and come back and be like, hey, look, I finished the line art. Now I can actually do the painting part. That's fun. Anywho, it's a roundabout way of saying I want to do abstract stuff today. What I'm doing, though, I was thinking, like, I'm not great at marketing. I don't enjoy it for many reasons, mainly because it feels like an imposition to other people. I don't want to put myself out there because, one, it just feels wrong. If you're not great at what you do, what are you doing marketing yourself? Not feeling good enough. That's one potential flaw, right? But the other is just I hate doing it because the idea of selling yourself sounds not great to me, personally. For me, it's just like hearing a recording of yourself, seeing something that you've marketed out there about yourself makes you want to gag, at least me. So I'm like, what is the least obtrusive way to potentially get my name out there? I say with air quotes, right? So my thought is, what's something people enjoy that they also have to look at? And one of the things I was thinking about is like, well, what I'm trying to do here is art, right? I need to make something beautiful that people will enjoy seeing that will also attract the same kind of people that I feel I might be, and people that aren't, because having different ideas is great too, right? Anywho, that's all a roundabout way of saying wallpapers. Everyone has some kind of device with a color screen that lets them set a wallpaper on it. So, what better way to get art out there that people might want than abstract art that does not take away from the device that you're using? So, something that doesn't get so busy that you can't see icons, you can't see apps, you can't see your time. Like, you can't see the things that make the device be the device. If it's too loud and obnoxious, you won't want it as a wallpaper. So I'm trying to think of ways to make wallpaper for both like PC and phone in the resolutions that those devices typically use, and put my watermark. I don't have one yet, but I'll have to make one when the time comes. But put a watermark on them and then just offer them for free. Just put them out there. Where? That's a good question. I don't know. Eventually, once I have some painted, and then eventually have them scanned, and then even more eventually figure out how to do color correction to make them look more like they were when they were on paper versus what happened when they scanned in on my scanner. And then putting on a watermark, and then figuring out where to put them. It's a lot of steps. So today is step one, right? Trying to figure out what would make a good computer or phone wallpaper, and then trying to get some examples down before we end today. And if I like what they look like just in general, and they're kind of smooth, and they're cohesive, and they're pretty to look at, and someone might look at it and be like, oh, hey, that's cool. Where'd you get that from? That's the vibe I'm trying to go for, right? Because if I end up with a good collection of free stuff, it might draw people in to want to come watch. And someday, should I decide to buy something or sell something, people might want to actually get it, right? Pixabay and sell stuff there. See, these are things I don't know, right? So like, where do you offer things free? Where do you sell things? Where will have visibility? These marketing, it's all stuff I don't know, right? And if I just say, oh look, I went through the hassle of paying money to make myself a website and I offer them for free on there, who's going to know that website exists? aside from the few people that come in here and I promote it like hell, right? Nobody. So it's got to be somewhere that people browse, or like they can hit a random button and just cycle through stuff, or they can see the most recently uploaded art, things like that. DeviantArt's good. I have not yet made one. I should probably do that. I'm unknown enough that I can sneak off when I get done with the stream today, and I can go get accounts made under this username and probably reserve them for the future. So yes, thank you, Goddess. That is a great idea. I'm going to jot those down really quick on my phone. Give me a sec. And I will check those out, see what they look like, and find a way to get some of this stuff out there once I've got stuff to provide, right? See, I thought you said you did marketing at some point, but then I think you said that you did graphic design in Desert Stream the other day, and so I'm guessing you're just a goddess of multiple talents. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll hit you up and I'll chit chat with you. Join Sunday stream and ask your questions in chat, and I'll answer them. Okay. I mean, either way, I'll find a time to be able to dip in and. Oh, graphic design led to the marketing. That's fascinating. It makes me want to ask the questions. Why did you stop, and decide to want to retire? I'm sure there's some degree of just exhaustion in there, and saying, "Fuck it, I hate people. I don't want to do this shit anymore." Right? Pardon my French. I'm sure there's a lot of that in there, but I mean, who knows? Everyone's reasons are their own for deciding to want to stop something, right? So I get it. Trust me, I get it. Like, personally, I get it. I really, really, I really do. Oh, coffee makes me happy. Okay, I gotta stop. Haha, because having fun making art and crocheting is a lot more fun than working. No shit, girl. Seriously, like, I've said it before that doing this was originally to help me de-stress. Like, last year, I was in the middle of an important project at work that was resting entirely on my shoulders, and sometimes it was feast, sometimes it was famine, right? And in the famine times, I was able to relax and not have to stress out so much. And then I got inundated with food, right? I had too much to do too quickly. That was too critical and so much on my plate. And I was spending more than a typical shift's worth of time at work, working till late in the evening and starting again a few hours later the next day after a few hours sleep. It was not good. What little de-stress capability I had came from my normal hobby, which is computers. I don't just work with them, but I have always enjoyed like classic or retro computers. The problem is with that hobby is it's become a collector's hobby. It's not something I can do affordably, and seeing the things that I would like to get when I see them are so grossly overpriced. Sometimes it's more expensive than the device was when it was new 30 or 40 years ago. And that makes me want to vomit, because I can't handle something that 5, 6, 7 years ago was affordable and easy to do and has become so monetized, is probably the best way to put it, that it grosses me out. And I hate that because I love computers. But, you know, it comes to a point where eventually there's no money for it, and then you also realize you start running out of time. And then, more importantly, because they're computers, you run out of space, which is the other problem that we had with it, right? So I just don't have the storage space nor desire to retain that much large, heavy equipment. Because back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, those computers weighed like 7 or 8 times more than what computers of today do sometimes. And being able to carry all that stuff is a pain. Fixing it and working on it is fun. But then it becomes, 1, where do I store it? 2, what do I do with it? Right now, it's just all sitting in a closet collecting dust, right? And then someday when we move, we have to haul all of that out of here and put it somewhere else to take up space, and it's just gross. So trying to downsize that collection, trying to downsize that hobby quite a bit. Eventually, I'll give things away or find somewhere to sell them, or whatever the case will be. I'll keep a few core things that I care about that are actually really nice, that I enjoy. Laptops, mostly. I tend to really like old Lenovo or IBM laptops, the like ThinkBooks and all that sort of thing. Just something about that design aesthetic I really like. Yeah, but aside from that, just kind of, I wanted to phase out from one hobby and find something I could do that would make me happy. And doing that was no longer making me happy because going out thrifting and looking for them, I was either not finding them or the few that we found were grossly overpriced and I could never really do anything with that hobby. It started becoming stressful to even go out and look for them. So I remembered back in the day, a long, long, long time ago, back when the earth was still cooling, as I would say sometimes to people that are really old. Back when I was a kid, and that was mean, and I didn't realize how old I would get. Back when the earth was still cooling, when I was a kid, when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, whatever phrase you want to use, I had enjoyed art in school, and I mean like elementary school, middle school era, right? Well, in elementary school, like the last year of elementary school, 5th grade, I think, I had created a watercolor, ironically enough. I created a watercolor with glitter and all kinds of fun stuff on it. Really worked hard to make it amazing. And it was my original idea that I did another painting of more recently of Ships of the Desert. And what it was the desert with a bunch of camels with sails sticking up out of their backs, because they're colloquially known as ships of the desert because they retain a lot of water. And they're kind of like alone out there, right? Well, I thought, hey, that's cute. I'm a kid. This is really funny because I liked being stupid and silly back then, and I still do today. I put sails on their backs, and I thought it was really cute. And I brought it home, and I was super excited for my mom to get home from work so I could show it to her. And I went out and I was talking to her, and then we went back into my bedroom to go get it. And our dog had been in there. You can see where this is going. Unknown to me, she had gotten in there, and she must have smelled the glue or something in there from it. And she was just like, let's go to town. And she just tore it to shreds. I mean, complete shreds. There was hardly anything left of it. Like, she really just tore it to absolute pieces. And I was really upset, obviously, really disappointed. And my mom tried to console me. She was like, what I can see of it looks wonderful. I'm sure it was absolutely great. You can make it again. I didn't go back. My heart hardened for doing any further art stuff, and I just didn't go back to it ever. And as I got older, I was like, what am I going to do as I get older? What am I going to do for a career? Well, we did like the career fair thing in school, and they made you take that little like computerized survey thing and all that to try to figure out like, what do you want to do? What are you interested in? And of course, it ended up pointing toward IT, and that's where I ended up going because I really was interested in it, and that's what my world has become. Well, clearly in a moment of stress, I needed something to go back to make me happy. And I remember that I liked to paint back in the day. I wasn't great at it because I was a kid and I had like, a kid's level of knowledge and training about it. And it was just for fun then. Well, it's for fun now. It's back. I thought, let's paint. And so we went out, got some basic cheap supplies. I played around with it. I thought, I'm in love. I found some videos of people online that I watched, and I really, really fell in love with it. And I was like, let's order some supplies. And and now I'm not in debt, but I'm spending some amount of money periodically to get supplies, and I couldn't be happier with it. Am I good at it? Am I going to be good at it? Yeah. Am I there yet? I'm kind of halfway, I think. I'm not going to sit here and denigrate myself and make myself feel like a jerk or an idiot or anything, but I clearly see people that have skill, like Desert. Your skill with watercolor is absolutely amazing. Goddess, your skill with crochet as a yarnomancer is absolutely stunning. People that have been working their craft for a long time know what they're doing, and I will get there some year. I just want to slowly get there. So, I'm beating around the bush and yapping a lot today. Sorry. But I'm just gonna, I don't know, I realized, ironically, we're talking about making backgrounds. I guess it's good to talk about my background, right? Look at that, I pulled it together and made it make sense. That was a total accident. I'll let it ride. Oh, thank you, Desert. Hugs right back at you, girl. Okay, so what are we gonna do? So I had planned for doing at least 2 paintings today. because they're going to be abstract and because they need to be simple. They don't need a lot of really crazy sharp things that can't. I don't want to get in the way, right, of what people have on their screen. It needs to be low key, but not so low key that it's bland, but not so crazy that it's hard to see or do anything on it, right? So I'm just gonna kind of just make. And if something ends up being too much, I simply won't use it for that, but I'll still have made it. But at least I can kind of focus my brain into a certain genre and try to fit that theme, right? So what I'm going to do, clearly I've got the mineral paper on top. Lesson learned from the past. Any paintings I do on mineral paper either need to be portable so that I can move them and then do other things during the stream, or it has to be last. So at the moment, I do not have an easy way to transport mineral paper paintings while they're still wet. Mineral paper has a way about it of behaving like plastic, in that as soon as there is liquid on it, liquid is there to stay until it air dries. You cannot speed it up. I have tried. Drying it by a hair dryer even will curl the paper, and my heat gun is no better. It just warps the hell out of it. Somewhere over here in one of my portfolios, I put the other one that I tried to use the heat gun on to try to straighten it out. It hasn't done a damn thing to it yet. I took it out the other day and it is still warped to hell. But you know, it is what it is. I've learned the lesson not to use a heat gun on this paper. It is mineral paper, but I think some part of the binding in it is a plastic in order to make it into a sheet. I'm thinking that's how they make it work, because it curls like plastic that's been heated too much. So, lesson learned, it's got to dry naturally. My goal for being able to do this and move it, I'd like to get some kind of trays. I was thinking weirdly like a cookie sheet in a way, something that's got like a raised lip all the way around it so that the liquid can run off of it without harming it or interfering with it. I won't be able to leave a lot of liquid in it and then move it without it drying at least somewhat. Because if it doesn't stay level and it tilts, everything that you've done just will run off and it'll ruin it. So it's got to be the kind of thing where I can keep it inside of something and then literally keep it on the table and just shove it to the side and then work on something in the remaining space. For now, again, enough yapping. I will do these on stream, but mineral paper paintings have to wait to the end of a stream because once it's done, it has to sit. It won't be able to be dry and picked up to be looked at until the following stream. But that's how I just plan to do mineral paper stuff from now on. And I realize now they kind of make sense. Where I learned about mineral paper was from oh god, I'm saying the words and I don't remember her name. Kendra Brazel Art, I believe is her Instagram. I learned about it from her. She uses liquid watercolor inks, acrylics, and some other things. And I've done similar stuff on here before where I got the idea from her. We put some of the ink on and some lines. You paint plain water on most of the paper, and then you really oversaturate the brush and you go over the ink and the water and make them touch, and it will spread out and bloom like crazy across the entire surface of it. And then you've got to very quickly use these little pipettes to squeeze up some of the puddles, or they'll start to blend and merge and get really muddy. The last one I did, I let it sit too long without thinking about it, and it got muddy in a lot of areas. But it still came out pretty good. But yeah, because of that, again, it's got to be left to the end. And I realized watching her videos, Kendra, whenever she does any of the videos, she cuts before she shows it dry, and then all of a sudden it's dry and done. And that's because more than anything, you can't forcibly dry it. Nothing will work. Even if I used a fan, it would just blow the surface of it around and it would warp it, because not warp, it'll move the liquid on top and make it swirl and do all kinds of stuff, and probably muddy just from the act of the air hitting it. So it's just got to sit, and it takes hours for it to dry. So you've just got to let it chill. So what am I going to do then? Clearly, I had multiple pads of paper out here. I'm going to use standard watercolor paper, and the question becomes which one? Well, I've got quite a few types. I have Arches, which is really good paper, but that's really good quality paper. And all I have left of the Arches before I purchase more someday is what I have here. It's like maybe 8 sheets, 9 sheets, somewhere in there. So I want to preserve this for the good stuff. So at some point, I'll have a really good plan. I'll really want to work on a quality piece of art, and I want to preserve this arches as much as I can. So it goes to the side for now. So that returns us to this. This is the next best paper I've got. The Strathmore watercolor paper. They've got a couple different series, 100 through 400. I don't know if they have any others, just what I've seen on the shelf at stores. 400 series being the best that they offer, and it is much higher quality than their cheaper stuff. It's actually got a much better texture. I noticed the paper doesn't do that thing where it forms like little knits if you work it too much while it's wet, like pilling, I think they call it, or piling. The cheaper paper will do that, but this one does not. So I'm probably going to stick with this. The downside with this is it comes on this spiral binding, and all I can do is tear it. I could cut it, but it won't be even. And the last time I tried to pull this up, okay, that worked. It broke the spiral binding. So like I have it here from the other version, the other pad of this that I had. This is the new one, and it started spreading. Sorry, let me switch to the top-down view. You'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so you can see here, like this is the side that was still together, where it was closer together, and then on this side you can see that it started spreading, and it just made all of the remaining sheets of paper come out. So I just said, fuck it, I'm just pulling out all the remaining paper, throwing the pad pieces away, and I thought, this has got an interesting floopy, floppy, springy texture to it. Someday I can put some really thick watercolor on it in a variety of ways, and I can just like put some water on the paper and just smack it and make it do weird textures. So I'm saving this because I'm weird like that. At some point I'll have a box of random knickknacks and I'll put it in there. But yeah, I think I'll use this to start. Let me get this out of the way for now, and whip out the paper cutter. And I was thinking, so I went through, I realized I'm going to be scanning these. Once I have them made, dried, all put together, I'm going to use the flatbed scanner I've got on my printer to scan them in. I've already done that in the past with other paintings, and I don't like the color accuracy, but I like the resolution. The resolution looks really good, but the color was not great. And I found out online that's how a lot of people do it. They either use a flatbed scanner, and then they do a lot of color correction afterward, which is something I don't know really truly how to do, aside from like shifting the hue and adjusting saturation, but then it looks oversaturated and it looks cartoony and fake, like I didn't actually make it. And, it becomes really funky and weird. So I'm going to have to do some research on how you genuinely do painting color correction. I'm sure there's an actual genuine process, maybe even some special software. I don't know. I'll find out when the time comes, right? But at the very least, step one, make the work. I can at least make the pieces, right? And have them to the side, decide which ones I like, and just scan everything. I'm choosing 9x12 paper because my scanner surface is like 8 3/4 by 12. It's built for 8.5 by 11, but there's some overhang. But it's not enough to fully get the entire sheet. It's going to get most of it, but not all of it. So in order to have just one pass on the scanner, and I have to do the additional difficult work of trying to scan a large sheet on a smaller scanner surface, and then learn how to knit all the pieces together into one big cohesive image, that is more difficult than the color correction. So I'm thinking for phone and for computer background wallpapers, 9x12 should be enough detail, and scanned at a high resolution, hopefully not finding a bunch of flaws and getting weird shadows and artifacting from the scanner, should be high enough quality to make wallpapers. So step one, I'll make the work, I'll make the paintings, I'll scan them in, I'll learn how to do color correction, I'll do that, then maybe I can share some on here and I'll show on screen, and then I'll show the physical on screen and physical, and maybe we'll show some side by side to kind of get your guys' help to judge, does it look like they fairly well match each other. And if so, I'll try to document the process I did for color correction, and I'll run with that as my new go-to, right? And then we'll work on a watermark, and then we'll cut them to sizes and put the watermark on each individual resolution. So I've got whatever the typical iPhone resolutions are, what iPads use, maybe even the Apple Watch. And then I can ban this random BS spammy thing that came in. Ban hammer. Get cheap viewers. Yeah, go away. Okay. Yeah, and then figuring out where to put them where they can be seen. So let's cut this down and start working instead of yapping, because I am doing a lot of talking today. I gotta stop that. Because more than anything, I'll run out of breath, or I'll start coughing or doing something silly like that. Okay. We have our little hanging Chad piece. Let me throw him in the trash over here. I need to empty out my trash. I'll do that later. Right. And put my paper cutter back over here. All right. And scoot our paper down. Right. 1 second. I'm going to set my headphones down. Be right back. Maybe. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. Being watercolor paper and seeing as though I'm trying to make something that's going to be a wallpaper, I need some way to tape it down, because I may or may not, I do not know yet, I may or may not be going edge to edge with the painting. My goal is for this to not be a nebula. I realize being a very, very dark background can be good. I can do some that are, some that aren't, but I don't necessarily have to go edge to edge. However, that being said, thinking it out loud, if I want to be a wallpaper for multiple sizes of screens, I might need to go edge to edge, because I need the ability to cut it, right, after the fact, digitally. If I try to do it staying away from the edge in a certain way, it won't work. Like if I stay like an inch out or 2 inches from the border, well, in the future, should I need to cut it, which I will, for varying sizes of screen, it won't make sense, right? Because it's going to be different sizes. Some parts, it would be too close to where it's cut. Some parts, I might be overlapping it, and I'll be cutting out art just to make it fit in a digital resolution. So I guess I have to do one of two things, right? I have to go edge to edge so that everything I cut out will be as fully edge to edge as possible, or I have to do some kind of light, gentle background that's not obtrusive, and have that part edge to edge, and then do something unique and smaller in the middle that will always be in the center of any background image. But I don't know what that small thing would be. Well, I pulled way too much off for that. I don't want to waste all my tape, but hey, you know what? I made the mistake. I did it already, so hey, here we are. Right. So, for the first one, I don't know. I think I'm just going to play. Might go for a lighter one. One, it'll be quick, because I won't have as much paint on it. Yeah, I think I'll go with that to start. And I think we're taped down pretty well. Let me really press it down. All right, that should be good. Put my tape up. Just going to whip out my water spray and spray down my palette. I never really cleaned my palette. I usually do eventually when it starts getting kind of muddy, but I should clean this orange area because it's kind of like a muddy orange color right now. And that makes it difficult to find a spot to mix some clean mixes of my own, right? But I think it's okay to leave it for now because, let me grab this really quick. From the free table at work the other day, I already have this little palette that I purchased online, a little small guy. But there are these little like teacup saucers on the free table. So I went ahead and snagged a couple. They're fairly shallow, but it's enough to more than hold any amount of paint that I would ever want to have. Uh, so if I ever need, I can have a couple of these out. They're big, um, but I'll have these to the side should I need to have a large mixing area for a certain particular color. So I keep these to the side in case I need them. But if needed, I can use this for small amounts of color, and it'll be fine. Let me put these to the side for now, should I need them. In addition, I also have some salt at the ready. After seeing Desert's work the other day of going through and experimenting with salt, I remembered I really liked how the texture looks, especially for nebulas. I'll probably play with that a little bit. For this, I think it would have a really pretty texture for a background. So I think I might do the first one with a little bit of salt and let it sit. Um, and lesson learned, don't dry it because that's just going to stop the salt from doing its work. So I've got to go wet, let it sit for a minute, and then hit it with color as quickly as possible while it's still fairly wet. Go ahead and add the salt to it early so it can bloom quite a bit. And then maybe after it sits for a little bit more, I might add a touch more salt so that there's a combination of the large blooms with the smaller blooms, putting it on later as it starts to dry and just have varying degrees, right? So I think that'll be interesting. So I've got it to the side ready to go. Unlike yours, you use table salt. I'm using kosher salt. There's not really a difference aside from the size of the grains. This is a bit of a chunkier grain of salt. It's not a huge difference, but it's still salt. I've used it. It works pretty much the same. So I'll keep it to the side over here. So I guess the next question, before I wet this down and get it rolling, color, right? What kind of colors can I do? Well, having a pure color, like straight from the palette, it would work, I think. But in order to do something that has a chance of being used as a background, I think some of them might need to be a little bit more, I don't know, either translucent, so like a pastel, or some kind of blends that look really good, right? So like off our primary and secondary colors, right? We're going beyond tertiary. We're looking for some unique blends or things that have a really interesting gradient to them. So I'm going to use my normal palette. I'm not going to use the Kuretake set for this, at least for this first one, or today's. So I'm going to figure out some colors that I like and then go from there. So if I were to pick a theme for the colors for the first one, there's a lot of great colors that go together. Some of my favorites, I've kind of got some inspiration over here next to me. I've got my Polaroids. I moved everything over here and I lined it up. I've got some of the Polaroids here, and one of them, the top one, is this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the one that's got green and violet. And those two colors go together really well. It reminds me of either the Incredible Hulk. For some reason, it reminds me of is it the Joker? Yeah, the Joker from like the original Batman. I think he did green and like a purple as well. And they tend to blend together kind of neat. They bloom and reach together really interestingly. So I might go that route, at least for the first one, and just kind of go everywhere on the paper with it and let it just kind of mix all together and be kind of a fun blend. Maybe I'll just stick with that kind of area. We'll see. I think. Let me grab a large round brush and have that ready to go. But I need to get the background on here wet so that this will help it bloom really well. So let me grab a wash brush. Let's grab some clean water And I'm just gonna go back and forth on this. Okay. I swear, sometimes I think I need to have like a bright light in front of me facing the paper so that I can see water, because you can't see it. Water just disappears unless you look at it at a shallow enough angle to see the reflections. I may have to look into getting some kind of light source over there that makes sense. That doesn't like look bad on camera, or that you don't see, but I do. All right, that is pretty well saturated. Let me scoot that over here. Get my little palette guy off to the side and out of the way. So I have my paper towel is clean and ready to the side. Colors. So purple. I think let's start there and get that ready. I think it's already in the well, the mixing well, so I think I might mix it with some of that dragon's blood. Let me mix what's already in it and see what kind of color we get. It's not bad. Reminds me of a lipstick color, kind of like a little blush color. Oh, you know what it also looks like? It looks kind of like beet juice. You know, beets don't have like... Sometimes it's got like a pure, rich, beady, reddish violet color. I think if you got like I'm really thinking of food now, but if you get like a little butter in it, like a touch of sour cream, it gets a little bit opaque and it gets this like slight yellowish tinge that the dragon's blood added to it. It's kind of interesting. Regardless, I think that's a good start for that. Let me go ahead and... really need to start drying my brush before I rinse it so I don't get my water needlessly extra dirty for no good reason. And then a green. No, yes, a green. I think because it's already got such a great, beautiful color, I think I'm going to go green gold. But I'm going to mix it with what I already have in my well here. Some more. Yeah, that's nice. Alright, let's get some on here before this dries up completely. Or did it do it already because, you know, it's being an ass? Maybe. We'll see. I think I need some more water. Yeah. There is a downside with some of this paper. This Strathmore one does tend to... It's thirsty. It needs water. And that's fine. Get some of this purple and dragon's blood mixed in there. Doesn't seem to be very strong. I'll probably add some more to the side. Get a little of the dragon's blood right in there. How about some of that violet? And a little bit of blue. I think I'm going to grab some of this indigo I've got in the corner here and just do a very light one just to help it spread out. I'm not going for outer space here. I'm going for getting it all touching, getting it all wet. good for me. Let me hit it with a lot more color and a couple spots. Got our violet. Right, let's hit it with some of our dragon's blood. Okay, get our green. Before it gets too dry, let's salt it. Looks like that green dried already right there. That's fine. Brush off what I've got stuck in my nail. I just got my nails. Yep, they're a little long. That's fine. Right? Wow, this is popping up from the side of this. Push it down more. Alright. Well, this is going to take some time to sit. So, let it sit for a minute. Let's jibber jabber. How y'all doing today? My day was boring. It worked, but we had one particular meeting that was 4 hours long today, and it just rained my soul. It wasn't like an internal one, it was like a vendor meeting, so it just took forever. Can I say I hate meetings? Yeah, they're rough. It wasn't bad, it's one of those ones that like I was asked to attend and it doesn't immediately pertain to me. Like my only focus is, does it work with what I do? And if it works with my part, then I'll worry about it later when we actually buy the product and start integrating it. And then I need to work with our vendor for my product to help integrate it. And then I'm just install it and test it, boy. You know, there's only so much I can do at this early stage, but I appreciate being there, so I at least know it exists before we've bought it, so that's kind of nice. But God, we've been having these meetings for weeks now, and it's just one version of the software from one provider, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. We're filthy rich with possibilities, but choosing the right one is going to be up to the rest of the business and how much we can afford. So, it's a lot of work. It's fine. Worry about it when, it's a thing. Like some months from now. Hopefully they're not like, we bought into it and now we're going to rush it out the door. It has to be ready by holiday. Not a chance in hell. My project I was stressing out about from last year, it had to get rushed and get done by holiday. So I had from like early January when we were talking about it to like April. It was April when we got our first version of the software to test, and we released it in September and started going into production with it. So that was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-month turnaround on a product that should have taken a year and a half or so to make, and because of it, so many things were rushed. Still, end of day, we did a good job. I think everything worked out ultimately. So, yeah. Of course, I was told this new project that I'm not directly immediately related to, they learned the lesson from my project. Not like I didn't tell them that it need more time, but whatever. They're like, we're going to give this one a year and a half or two before we complete it. So we're going to take our time because this one's important. I'm like, what I do wasn't important? It's like the biggest source of income. For now, anyway. Whatever. I'm not going to complain. I'm complaining. I'm doing nothing but complaining this whole time. I'm going to shut up now before I incriminate myself, or worse, someone from work finds out I exist, please. Maybe like years from now. And by then, I'll have moved on. At least from the early times. Wow, we're an hour in. The salt is doing its own thing though. It's spreading in here really nicely. It's a very faint set of colors for now. But that's fine. The salt is definitely spreading and doing what it should. So it's looking good. I'm gonna let it sit and dry completely. Then we'll take the salt off of it. We'll look at it, see if it looks good the way it is, and if it needs more color, maybe we'll do another layer just the same way. Just to kind of enrich it a little bit. I don't want to make it too dark or too vibrant. Sometimes it would be fine, I think, but we'll see. Yeah, this salt really makes it look neat. Little snowflakes or crystals. It's so interesting how it spreads. Let me see if I can zoom in really quick and you can see. Yeah, right? So interesting. You can see every single spot where the salt hits, and it forms like a little crystalline structure on the surface. It's so interesting. Some of it's still very, very wet, so I need to just back off and let it dry. I thought about it. I don't want to use the heat gun on this while salt's on it, because it needs every moment of the natural drying time, I think, to do what the salt needs it to do. If I prematurely dry it, it won't complete the same way, But it is super neat how that works. Very cool. Wild. Let's see. For the mineral paper, when I grab that and get it out here in a minute, once this is done, what do we want to do on that? What is this from? From Donkey Kong Country to Diddy Kong's Quest. Alright, I'm just playing like a video game playlist today. Okay. Let's turn it up. Painting dance. Okay, that's enough of that mess. Alright. Turn it down. Silly. Alright. Still drying. Still have a lot of wet areas. This area is really wet. This area, I can see it, still really wet. A little bit right there too. This corner is still really wet. Right there is. It's spread even more just since I was talking about it. At least the areas that were still really wet had a chance to dry some more and spread even more. That's wild. All right. Me. I don't want to. I didn't want to dry it prematurely, but I think once it's like mostly there, I can probably use the heat gun and be fine. Like, basically, using the heat gun is going to lock it in the way it is, right? But then I can brush off all the salt and put on another layer or whatever's needed, right? But if I put on another layer, I'm going to move around all the hard work I just did with the salt. Even though it dries, let's see what it looks like when it's dry. Let's go ahead and hit it with heat gun and see. Since I did change my mic, I'm definitely going to mute the microphone while this is on, because I think with the new settings, it's not going to block this out, and you're just going to be hearing dryer the whole time, and it's like right next to it. I'll do it for a second, and you just tell me if it's screaming loud, and then I'll mute. No, it looks like it was silent. I didn't see the mic like raising up at all while this is on without me talking. So, but with me talking, you can hear it. So I'm gonna shut up and let it go silent. All right. Wasn't too bad. Grab some coffee. Cheers. All right. Well, I've got some salt on here. I gotta get this off. This paper is pulling up from the surface really bad. Well, I can't fully blame the tape or the paper on this too much. Taping down to this clipboard I've talked about a few times is just kind of garbage. This clipboard's not long for this world. So yeah, let me scoot back and grab my garbage can, get it in front of me. Let's get off what salt I can from this. That's one thing I don't have that I need to get. I don't have a palette knife. And I don't want to scrape the surface, so I need something gentle that won't cause damage. I don't have it over here, but I've got a plastic ruler. I might be able to use that. Oh, you know, well, no. Well, no. I was going to say I've got an eraser, but that probably won't get enough grip on here to do it. Oh, I know. We've got these little plastic cups for that I used. I put the coffee in it to paint with it on Monday. I'll try that. Yeah, that seems to be working well. Gentle enough to not mess up the surface with the paint. I have a feeling I'm going to be vacuuming the floor. That feels smooth. Check it out. Yep, we are confirmed salt-free. At least the big crystals of salt are gone. Yeah, what's left behind looks okay. Moved the garbage can. I ripped out one of the earbuds from my ear. Put that back. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It's not very vibrant. It's very kind of pale pastel, which, I mean, to be fair, I said I was kind of looking for. I think I'll leave it like that just to keep it simple. But I think I want to do it again with darker, richer color, but still keeping it to one layer and doing the salt so we can really see it work better. And I'll try to separate the salts out from each other so that they don't you can see from this one it kind of, some of them were like right next to each other, but then there's areas that had nothing, so I'll try to spread them out a little bit more. Let me go ahead and peel this one. Another benefit to using that other that Strathmore paper, I've got a good bit of it still, and it hello, brain dumb. What? Who? Where? Why? What? I've got enough of it so I can practice with it. Those are the words I was going for. All right. Yeah, I'm telling you, salt, it does some amazing stuff. Interestingly enough, it has a totally different texture vertically than horizontally. It strangely, like, is more elongated vertically. Still wild. But let's get a little closer to it. You can see it focus. Yeah, look at that. That looks pretty good. But you can see where it would be better if there was a richer pigment under it. Some of those looks really good. Isn't it wild how it spreads out like a snowflake? Kind of lets you know if there's too much salt in your body. That's what it's doing to your blood and all your little internal organs, just making little crystalline inroads until it dissolves again. Isn't that fun to think about? No? Okay. Alright, well, let's put that one to the side. Let's grab another sheet of this paper and trim it. Getting that last piece, that last thing to come off right there is always so difficult. Did I get any paint on it from that? Nope. Good. Back over here you go. Oh my gosh, I wasn't even paying attention. I left my brush in the water the whole time. You're not supposed to do that. Ugh. Hate that. I'm sure it's fine doing it one time, but I don't want to get in the habit of accidentally leaving it in there. Because it will, I've seen it online. If you leave it in the water, it will get under the burial. Is that what it's called? This, the metal piece that connects to the wooden shaft and holds the bristles in. It's not focusing because I've got stuff underneath it. The water will get underneath it and it'll start to like make the wood swell and crack and rot and get soft, and it will break. It'll ruin the entire brush if you leave it in water. So you're not supposed to dunk it all the way. You're not supposed to leave it sitting in it, especially for long periods of time. You need to dry it pretty quickly. That's all on me. I just wasn't paying attention. I left it in there. But again, I think one time it'll be fine. I try not to do that because I don't want to cause harm to my expensive brushes, because I don't want to buy a bunch of new ones because of my idiocy. Okay, all of that said, let's fix ourselves up another sheet of paper. What? There. Close. Alright. Ready, steady. Yeah. Another hanging Chad. Put this over here. Let us see, what side has more texture? Interestingly enough, there is a difference in the I think I looked at this before. So it's going to be almost imperceptible unless I hold this at an angle and it really focuses on it. I don't think it will. It's hard to tell, but yeah, there we go. So the texture, this is the texture on the top side of the paper, or the side you're meant to use, right? It looks pretty irregular. That's kind of what you want, me anyway, on a cold press paper. Cold press tends to have a more rough texture, and hot press tends to be smoother, at least from what I've seen. I've never used hot press paper. I've just always gotten cold press because I like the idea of all the texture that it gives you. But I don't like regular patterns from cheap paper. So this one's pretty good at the top part you're supposed to paint on being irregular. However, on the back side, you can see like the roller marks or whatever. I don't know how well this is going to focus. I have to get really close and then pull it away. Yeah, there we go. It looks kind of like a cheap paper towel. You can see the grid pattern of where it's very regular. So there's very much there's a light side and a dark side. There's a side to paint on and a side not to paint on if you don't want that. Yeah, see, right, Desert? Same, prefer the textured, irregular, more natural side. Me too. I think the goal, right? Excuse me, is if we had all the money and all the resources in the world, we would get pure cotton paper, right? Because made with cotton, made the original way, it's got literal like striations of cotton in it, and it can't help but be irregular. This fully machine made on rollers like that press it all out by machine, it's always going to have a pattern to it. It's just, is it going to be a large irregular pattern or a small irregular pattern done in a cube over and over again so you can see the pattern because you can't help but see it, right? So the higher quality stuff is more irregular over a large area, but it's still a pattern at the end of the day. Very likely that this sheet looks just like the sheet behind it, looks just like the sheet behind it, or maybe it comes on a giant roll And if you had 5 of them next to each other and put another 5 next to each other, you could detect the pattern because it's done on like a factory press, right? Anywho, the goal would be to be on the natural stuff. This has got some, well, I don't want to say this, it might not. Yeah, it might not have cotton in it. It's hard to tell. The ones that have cotton in it are proud about it because it's a selling point. So it would be on the cover if it had cotton, I think. And I'm going to say that it does not in this brand. The Arches one, I think, actually clearly says it. Let's look. Whoops. Yes, it says it right on it, and they're proud of it. Right in the corner. 100% cotton. Right? So, yes, they still make it on a machine, but it's an old brand. They've been around for ages, and the texture on this is, I mean, it's hot. And I don't just mean that it's not hot press, it's cold press, but it's a beautiful, beautiful irregular texture. Like, look at that. Hard to tell, but you can see it's like crocodile skin or something like that. I don't know. I'm just using words, but there is a definite difference in the quality of the paper. Doesn't mean that one's better than the other. I mean, they are in a way, but I think you paint on what you've got, right? What you can get your hands on, what you can afford. I think if you can afford multiple types and qualities of paper, use them wisely, right? Use them based on what the end goal is. Is it practice? Is it for fun, but you want it to still be a decent quality? Or do you want it to be something you're going to be working on for a couple days, like a painting you really want to put effort into and you want it to have the best possible chance at life, right? Well, then you're going to use the higher quality paper because you want the best possible texture, the best possible absorption, the best possible blending, the best possible result, right? So for this, what I'm doing, when it comes to the Strathmore brand, is some of the better stuff that they have. It's not perfect by any means, but it is miles better than the really, really cheap stuff. Like, seriously, I didn't get a big enough piece of tape. Let me save this for another day and grab another piece here in a second. Let me go snag some paper really quick and show you what I'm talking about. Grab the headphones really quick. Earbuds. All right. So clearly, the cheapest stuff I've got is what's right here on top. This is like, I don't remember, Michael's maybe? Michael's or Hobby Lobby? One of the two. I think it's the only places that we bought this paper from. It's their store brand. Oh, it says on the bottom, Hobby Lobby. Perfect. All right. So this is Hobby Lobby paper. It shows right on it, 10 bucks, 9 by 12, 15 sheets. It does not say anywhere on it that it's made with cotton, and that is obvious once you open it. Well, it feels obvious. Still cold press, acid free. It's good for archival purposes. I hate this paper. I don't like using it for anything. Literally nothing. It's about the hottest garbage you could probably get in paper. Let's see if you can see this texture. You get close, pull back a little bit. Okay. So there is a texture. It is cold press. But it is some weird, funky, ugly, wavy, repeating pattern. It's ugly. It's quite ugly, right? And one of the reasons, I'm not a professional by any means, but I am a very logical person. Live long and prosper. Spock is my homeboy. You can tell this is not cotton. And I will tell you one reason why. It's not just the absorption of water. This thing eats water and pulls water. It does both simultaneously, somehow. It absorbs water, and this shit dries faster than I can do anything with. But then once you put a little bit extra on there to try to counter that, it just puddles and sits on it. So it doesn't absorb like cotton does. The second thing that this does that I absolutely cannot stand is that pilling thing I talked about. So when you're working over it with more than one pass, it starts beating up the paper like writing paper would, like notebook paper would if you got it wet and you tried rubbing it and it just pulls away and turns back into the pulp that it came from. This shit does that. It's not great quality. If you're going to do anything with this, I think this is all it might be good for. Doing single passes of testing the colors of your paint. I think that's about all it's ever going to be good for. This was actually better quality. It was the other side of when I did that mouse the other day. So I'm keeping this one. But sometimes you keep the cheap paper just for practice, and sometimes it's not even good enough for that. This paper is not even good for practice. Maybe if you are literally just starting like I was when I got this, and I realized, wow, is this what it's always going to be like? I didn't realize the quality of the materials you're using genuinely makes a difference. But it doesn't mean you need to get the most expensive thing out there. Really, truly. So this paper, the garbage one, was $10. That's cheap, right? I don't remember the price of everything, but I believe the Arches paper was like $25 or $26 or $27. I mean, it's expensive. I got super lucky in a way, if you can call it luck. I kind of hate that it happened, but there ended up being a net benefit to me in the end. When I was ordering this and it was shipping to the house, we had an issue with a neighbor. I don't want to go into too much detail. Let's just say she was a bit of a wackadoodle. I don't want to say anything bad about people with mental issues, but she clearly had something going on. Either it was drugs, mental, a combination, whatever the case was. She was going around the halls at night, washing the walls. We caught her on camera doing wacky shit. The most important thing she was doing is she was stealing packages. We didn't know that at first that it was her. Packages were being stolen. We found out it was her, and then it happened to me. Stuff that I had coming was stolen, and one of the things that was stolen was this. I had ordered this on Amazon. It came, and I think some palettes that I had, like these. I think palettes like these. Yes, it was one of these for sure because I have two of these, and you'll see why in a second. Here in a second. She stole the package that had a bunch of things in it, and so we didn't get it back. I went down like a jerk and pounded on her door for a second. I'm like, I know you stole our stuff. Why are you doing this? It's not anything you're ever going to use. It's painting supplies. Can you please give it back? And I won't say anything. We ended up calling the office and telling them about it, and the police were already there because apparently it was proven that she was stealing other things, and they ended up just contacting me and asking for my statement, and they had my stuff back. But I had already reported it stolen to Amazon, and they were nice enough to reship everything back out to me. So I ended up getting 2 pads of this Arches paper, 2 of these palettes, and then I think 1 or 2 other things, right? So it was really nice. I wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth, and she's no longer an issue. She doesn't live here anymore, so all the problems are gone. Knock on wood. But I ended up with 2 of these, and the likelihood of me buying this again is high, but when I need it. It's so expensive by comparison to the other paper, I cannot afford to make this my regular go-to paper unless I start making money from doing this. I'm paying for this out of my own money, from my own job, and I can't afford to keep buying this. It's the great stuff, can't afford it. So, mid-grade paper, right? Mid to high. That's high quality. Not the best. Ironically, Arches, as expensive as it is not the best paper you can get. But it's darn near close to it. This is my mid-high. paper. This is the 400 series, like I mentioned, of the Strathmore. This is the garbage Master Touch Hobby Lobby one. Don't ever get this, please, unless you need scratch paper. The Winsor Newton one, I forget how much it was. I'll have to look it up on Amazon later. It's mid quality. It says on it 25% cotton, unlike the 100% cotton that the Arches has, but at least it has some in it. It's from Winsor Newton, though. They're art people. You think that they, of anyone, would only sell quality product? They don't. I think they might have combinations. There might be a higher quality, higher cotton version of this, and just what I got was the cheaper stuff. It wasn't $10. It wasn't $25, $26. It was somewhere in the middle. I don't remember how much. But it's okay. I only used it the once. It suffers from the same problem that cheap Hobby Lobby paper does, where it's got a repeating texture you can clearly see. Like, look, I barely have to do anything, and you can see that there's lines of pattern in this one. So I wouldn't call it as bad as that Hobby Lobby one because it has some cotton in it. It reacts well to water, but the pattern, you see it if you go over the same area a couple times. The pattern starts showing through it because some of it gets dark and some of it stays light, and the pattern shows. So only good for like a few passes, like student grade. I would call this probably a student grade. And then we're back to Strathmore. This is the really cheap Strathmore paper. This is their 200 series, and even they say it's good. They're never going to say poor. I mean, they're trying to sell this stuff, right? It's not bad. It has a texture that is varied, much like the 400 series, but it's not a very rough texture. It's still fairly smooth, so it doesn't really lend itself well to using the texture that it's got. It's pressed into it, but it's not a really thick paper. So I guess they just couldn't get a good pattern into it. And then the middle version of the Strathmore is the 300 series, which at the time I thought was the best one they had. It's not. This one's their better series, 300. Better. Still doesn't say cotton anywhere on it. This one also has a texture, but it's more visible now. But it's still very similar to their cheaper paper, but it's just a step up. Interestingly enough, the previous paper, remember I said it was thinner? It is. It's 90 pound, 90 pound, or 190 GM. GSM? That was GSM, but GM. It's GM. This one is 140 pound. So it's definitely a thicker paper, and it feels like it. So this one's pretty good if you can find it and afford it. This is probably the best mid-range paper you could probably get your hands on. But then if you can afford it, the next step up is their best version that they've got, at least that I know of. And it's that 400 series best Strathmore. It's really good for when I don't want to use the arches, but I want to have something that's going to be a good result at the end. Am I done yapping about paper finally? Yeah, I'm done. Sorry. Let me put this back. I guess it's better than just painting the whole time. I can yap about random stuff that's painting related, right? At least talk about what my experiences have been. Okay, let's tape this down and let's get some darker and different colors on this one and really make this one pop. Let's make sure it's actually a large enough piece this time. The last one I did was way too small. Okay. I'm going to try to go thinner on how much of the paper it covers and really get it to press down firmly. Hopefully it will hold itself down really well. It might not, but we'll give it a try. Alright, let's get another piece. Scoot my palette over because it's kind of like right in the way. Yoink. It's so nice working with a fresh roll of this that's not curling up on itself. I threw the other one away because it was it was on its last days. It was time to go. It's time to say goodbye. Right. Next piece. I had a random phrase stuck in my head or saying. All I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. I remember that from Star Trek, of all things, because, Star Trek, Trekkie. But I don't know. It's just one of those, idle, thinking about what could be. Look at me getting all philosophical. I tend to only get philosophical when I'm drunk, and I don't get drunk anymore because I don't ever have enough alcohol to get drunk. Because one, I'm diabetic. Don't know if I've ever said that, but yeah, I'm diabetic. Type 2. I did it to myself before I was old enough to realize what the hell I was doing to myself, and by then it was too late. But I manage with food intake and diet, so I'm doing pretty well with that, I think. I hope. But where was I going with that? Wow, I totally lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with that. What was I doing? Alcohol. Wow. Can't have most alcohol because of the diabetes. Because I can't process the alcohol that turns into sugars, and most pre-mixed alcohol is sweeter than hell. So the only thing I can really have is like beer every now and then, which I shouldn't have because it's one of the worst things for me. But also clear alcohol mixed with like sugar-free sodas and juices and things like that. Sometimes wines, but wines are almost all sugar as well. So I don't have a lot when I have it. Also, as you get older, hangovers suck more. So they're much harder to get over and they hurt way more. It's just not good for you. That and on top of it, my dad was a massive raging alcoholic and I don't want to be him. So, hey, I've got reasons not to have alcohol. Often. Just enough to get like a hint of a buzz and then done. Why was I talking about alcohol? I don't know. Oh, because I get philosophical when I'm drunk. See, my trains of thought eventually get into the station. It's just sometimes the cars get disconnected on the way. I mean, what am I thinking? Okay, let's go ahead and get this wet. And unlike last time, I'm going to let it sit for a moment, and then I'm going to wet it a second time because it needed the extra water. This stuff was a little thirsty. It like soaked in and then like portions of it started drying like incredibly fast. So I'm gonna go over it once and get it nice and even. I'm gonna let it sit for probably a minute, and then I'm gonna go over it a second time and let it sit for another minute, and then start hitting it with color. In the meantime, I'm gonna start mixing up some paint. So I think this time, let me move my tape out of the way. This time, I think I will use my little palette of fortune, wheel of fortune thing here, because I need some pure colors. Ironically said earlier I wasn't going to do pure colors, but hey, what can you do? I changed my mind because that's just what I do. Didn't I have another pipette? I must have got it stuck behind something. Oh, no, yeah, here it is. I prefer to use this one because it's cleaner. I've got more new ones, but I try to use them to death until everything's just gone rotten. Let me snag some here. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of clean water in each of these. I don't know how many I'm going to use. I'm just going to kind of fill them with water so I don't have to keep going back with my brush. Okay. This is still pretty wet, but I'm going to, it looks like it's puddling a little, so or pooling. You just wipe it down one more time. go. Good. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for just a minute, and then I will hit it with a lighter second layer of water. And once that is not glossy and not ooled or dripping wet, I'll start hitting it with color. So let's choose some colors. Let's go with the red. Can I ask you guys something? How far, if you're near your keyboards, how far out from your streams do you plan out what you're going to do? If you don't mind me asking. When I started out, I had a bunch of ideas written down, and I just have been kind of going from that list. But there's still a lot on there I've not done yet. 0 days, lol. Yeah, I know. Thank you for for doing what I do. I don't feel so bad. Yeah, I was pre-planning because I wanted to be prepared weeks out for however many streams I'm going to do for a while, but I can only do that if I have time that I pull aside for myself to do just that. But it starts being a problem because I don't always like pre-planning everything, which is weird coming from me because I am the guy that likes to plan stuff. At least sometimes, right? I like knowing what a plan is going to be. But with this, I don't know. I'm finding I'm enjoying better if I try to at least figure it out the day of, or preferably the day before, what I'm going to do. I try to have like a general idea, and then I just kind of run with it. I knew I wanted to do something abstract today, but I didn't think until earlier what that was going to end up being. And I was thinking about doing wallpapers at some point, but I was like, should I just make wallpapers from what I've already made? I'm like, well, they're not always going to work. There's going to need to be a design to it, right? So that's why I was like, let me just figure out how to make like what I would want a wallpaper to be for a computer, and then use that, right? So maybe this will work. And yeah, I'm glad. Planning it ahead of time by too much in advance is like rehearsing for a school play, you know? Like, you can overdo it and then be exhausted before you've even done the thing. And if I plan just close enough to the event and do it, then I don't get so stressed out by it. I don't feel like I'm forgetting to do anything so much. And it's just easier for me to manage. I'm really pulling some primary colors here. I don't even know if that's what I'm going to use, but I might. Let's grab a green. Really pretty one. I think this is a Cupric green. I think Cupric green light, if I remember. I think that's enough for now. When I want it to be richer, I'll go back right to the pan. I can pull from this. So let's, this is dried up. I completely dried up. It's like I never put any water on it. It's totally bone dry. So let's add another layer of water. I'm glad I did this like this. All that first layer of water did was probably make the paper swell, and it certainly made it start bending and misshaping itself. So I'll try to get this done before it pulls up from the clipboard. Man, words are so hard. So yeah, let's get this nice and wet. And then I'll press down the tape and make sure it's holding it all down really well. And we'll give this 30 seconds to a minute, and we're gonna start hitting it before it dries up. Don't want it to be sopping wet, but I don't want it to go dry like it did last time. All right, let's hit it quick. It's still a touch glossy. I think it'll be okay. Let's hit it with some red. And maybe a little green. Right. Let's go yellow. Yeah. Bill got some in there. There we go. Let's hit our blue. We grab like a turquoise kind of color. And while it's still sopping wet, oh, I missed a corner over here. Right. Let's hit it with some hits of strong color and then get some salt on it. Okay, so I'll go for yellow. Whoops, I grabbed yellow and green. That's fine. Okay. Put some of the red directly in there. Okay. And green. Let's get some of that green. Pop it in a couple spaces. Okay. And then last up, some of that blue. And salt while it's stopping wet. So we're going to try to be a little bit more even with our dispersal of the salt. Not so heavy in one place if I can help it, but make sure I get it everywhere. Okay. That is already a lot brighter in color. I mean, it's going to fade as it dries, but it's already brighter in color than this one. Right? So I'm expecting a decent amount of spread on this one, so I'm going to let it go. Let me catch up on what you guys said. Desert said, I have a month dedicated to textures in May, but was looking at some nearly finished pieces that I should also work on. Textures such as salt, rice, that's interesting. Plastic wrap, I've seen people do soap bubbles with plastic wrap on it, so that's interesting. Alcohol, I tried alcohol and I hated it. I did not like how it came out. Alcohol for me was only fine when you sprinkled it on top of painting. It did not look good when you painted with it because the alcohol does not work to mix your paint. It ruins it. It separates. It turns really gritty. Don't ever do that. Don't ever try it. I tried it for fun. It did not work. Sponges, I don't have any. I have like cleaning sponges, but like sea sponges, things like that, like you were using, I don't have any, but that's such a neat idea for a texture. I might find some at some point. Salt water. Now that's interesting. How did the salt water come out? Like, was it very heavily like saltier than the Dead Sea salt water? or just a little bit diluted thoroughly? Like, did you boil it with it to dilute it and then cool it? And how did it do? What did the? How did it differ from just water? I wonder. Did it do any spreading like this does, but uniform because it was in the water? So curious. I have to go back and find your VODs and find when you did that. I love the idea of doing different textures. The salt is really interesting. I really enjoyed doing the soap bubbles. That worked out really, really well. The one thing I haven't done yet that I plan to do at some point is putting soap bubbles down and then putting the paint on the soap bubbles. I also want to do that thing I've seen people do where they use like a pipette or the tip of their brush and they put water drops on dry paper and color those and let them deflate and dehydrate and dry in the shape of where the bubbles were, so it makes a bunch of little circles. That always seemed interesting to me as well. There's a lot of things you can do that I've seen people try. I don't want to just copycat everybody, but it's literally like technique. And it's not always about, for me, in my brain, it's not about trying to copy people. It's about doing stuff I've never done and learning how that technique works and figuring out, do I like fill in the blank technique, right? Because, I mean, coming from no experience, I can't just be like a kid and just slap water in a pan and paint with it. You know, I've got to grow somehow. So yeah, I'll scroll through Instagram, see people that paint, look at some of their ideas, get kind of like not disappointed, but get kind of slightly overwhelmed. Not really, but just tiny overwhelmed when I see other people's amazing work and be like, well, it's going to be a long time before I get close to anything like that. I'm not trying to be like perfection overnight because the journey to get there is part of the joy of it, right? If I just go right from where I am to perfection, then I mean, I feel like all the fun would go out of it. Um, so I'm glad to have something that I can slowly learn on and make stuff that I love. Um, but yeah, I like the idea of doing the soap bubbles on top of something you already painted and then putting plastic down on that. So you get the combination of the soap bubble look and the like striations and everything that the plastic does when it like wrinkles and forms lines and little weird shapes and everything. And then you let it dry and you peel it back. That sounds so interesting. I haven't done anything with plastic wrap yet because I feel like it would be messy. Like cleaning it up messy because I mean you're pulling back plastic wrap, but I guess you have to leave it till it totally dries and then it won't be a problem. And I wouldn't be able to dry it with a heat gun, so I'd probably have to do that and set it aside somewhere to dry during a stream. So that's something to consider. Man, this section right here pulled up. Let me try to pull some of this away. Pooling in that spot really bad. Feel that? Yeah, Garuda Valley, yeah. Okay. Yep, just like the last one, except for where the puddle is in the middle, it's spreading out nicely. It's interesting. As long as I don't move the board that this is on, it'd be interesting to go back after putting the salt on it and like make myself a little time lapse fast forward thing and see, like zoom in and try to see like the spread of the salt. I almost wish I had got a 4K camera because then I'd be able to zoom in afterward and really like get quality after images. But it's fine. Just interesting looking seeing it spread. Not doing bad. We're at 2 hours in. I'm probably still going to do the mineral paper one at the end. Because again, it has to be the last thing I do so it can dry when I'm off stream, because it'll just sit here and be wet forever, for hours. We would be doing nothing but talking because I wouldn't even be able to move it. So yeah, when I'm done with this and this dries enough to where I can pull out the heat gun to finish it off and then pull the salt off of it and peel the tape off and we can look at it again, I think this one will be a better contrast than that one over there. The first one I did. This one looks more like, a mistake. Like the colors are so pale that the salt getting on it made it look almost like, oops, I accidentally spilled salt on it and now it's a ruined piece. It doesn't look intentional and it doesn't look accidental in a good way. It's like okay, because obviously what the salt does, the texture is interesting. But I think it'll look better on this more colorful one. I think it needed the bigger pop of color. Yeah, because of the way the paper is curling, this is pooling right here. That's going to take longer to dry and let the salt do its thing, so I'm going to have to let this sit a little bit longer, I think. And I don't want to pull back too much of the extra liquid because then I'll just leave a weird white spot. It needs to dry. I might use a tiny corner of a paper towel and try to do that, like, hit it from the corner thing, Helped a little bit. It was just very, very pooled up right there. It needed something to sop up all the extra liquid. Right. I need to let this bit in the middle here do its thing. The salt, it's been so wet, it hasn't had a chance to activate, so I'll let that sit a little bit more. Thank you guys. You only heard parts of the question as you ran out the door on a gentle emergency, so I wasn't able to reply to the question on cellophane application or salt application. Oh, the only thing I was truly interested about was using salt water. It's the only thing I've never heard of out of what she said. I'm curious on how it worked. Was there an obvious visual difference? Did you flick salt water on painting that you did with normal water? Did you paint with the salt water? How did it go? Just in general. I mean, I don't expect you to type a story for your own sake. Oh, son of a gun. Don't mind me. I'm just a klutz. I kicked out without thinking, and I hit the radiator on the floor in front of me. That's what. Oh, now I'm yawning. Like that's what I get for stretching. Sleepy stretches. Blah. Blah, 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 blah. Too early for hibernation. All the colors were mixed with the saltwater mix, and it makes all things tie-dye looking. Really? Oh, that's so interesting. So, like, to prevent damage to your palette, did you grab the pigment with clean water from the palette and then mix it into a separate thing with salt water in it? Got it. Little cups. Okay, yeah, yeah, that makes the most sense because I was afraid when I was doing the alcohol testing I did that it wasn't going to work. So what I had done was I put a little bit of alcohol directly in the bottom of one of my wells here, or two of them, I think, and I took water on my brush to the pigment from the pans, and then moved it from there into the wells to mix, and it was separating immediately. So I was like, it didn't work. I wasn't happy with it. It was ugly. So yeah, alcohol, it does things, but it was the least interesting of the designs, I think. And instead of painting with it, flicking it onto the paper does kind of a similar look to when you flick water onto it, mixed with what you do with salt, where it spreads, but at the same time, it also it does circles, and then the circles spread a tiny little bit in the corners, and that's about as far as it goes. So it's weird, and it draws all the color into like a little spot. I've got it somewhere. I have it over here. Hang on, let me go look for it. Oh my goodness. I need to make some room here. Let me move my palette over. Move this little palette over. I am going to move this because I need more time to dry anyway. Scoot my keyboard back so I've got room. My headphones. All right. I'm pretty sure. Wow, I've got salt on here and everything. Okay, yeah, I've got stuff all over. Whatever, it'll be fine. I've got my little portfolio books that I put everything in. Let me catch up. Alcohol's odd. I've seen great things, but it bruises the center. Yeah, it does something funky. I'll look on here when I find it. I kept getting scenes that looked a little like little clear eggs were peppered through my picture because of that pigment push and bruised middle on most of the drop zones where the alcohol hit the paper. Yeah, it does. It does weird stuff, and not like a ooh weird. It's like a ooh weird. Like it's a very like a negative connotation to the weird that it does. We'll see. Let's look for it. Um, I don't necessarily put things in this portfolio to show off how excited I am about all the things that I've done. It's sometimes about just making it stay and lay flat if it got curled. So some of the things are in here not because they're brilliant, or good looking. So just keep that in mind as I flip through here. This little galaxy that I did. I'll have to hold them at angles to get them out of the light. Oh, that galaxy came out really nice. Or nebula. I like that one. I think I did that one on my first stream, if I remember right. The bubbles. This weird little like inside the earth thing with like a tree coming up from the inside of the earth, meant to be looked at like this. That's like the core of the earth, but there's a tree growing up from the inside of it, and then there's buildings on the surface down here. My attempt at one of my attempts at a leaf, I've got a better one that I'm happier with. Another nebula, more nebulas. I like doing nebulas. Can you tell? Mineral paper. Some little scene. I like how this one came out. I'm totally going off the rails from what I intended to do. But... we're getting closer. This is some stuff that I did recently on stream. That guy, oh, see, I hope it's not behind something. That'll suck. We'll see. I don't think I covered it up. Not it. That's not it. It's me trying to practice flowers and being somewhat successful, somewhat not. Re-practice. Ah, here they are. Yes, perfect, great. In order, this, yeah. So this was water only. Let me see if I can zoom in on this too. Come on, play nice. Do what I said. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so this is water. This was alcohol. And it does exactly what you're talking about. Like the weird, eggy, funky look. Like it looks like an egg with like a really big egg yolk in the middle, right? It does weird stuff. Like it does like water drops do, but pulls it for a purpose. Like it looks like it looks like a negative image or a reverse image of a red blood. Like it's super weird. I don't know what you would use it for. If anything, maybe okay. You know what I would want to try with it sometime? Maybe putting it on a Q-tip or a toothpick or something like that, and running it really wet with alcohol over the surface to try to like create a texture that pulls away from where you set it. Big drops is just huge. Or maybe like a script brush or something with it. Intentional, yeah. Like you gotta mean it. But then I don't know what it would look like even then. This was painting with alcohol, which I did not like. It did weird stuff. It separated. It made it really much more granular. It was really ugly. This was salt, but not letting it, not putting it on early enough. And then my favorite out of all of this was soap. This was the one using soap bubbles. I really love how that came out. That's such a neat look. And then I was like, fuck it, we're doing everything. I did a little bit of all 5 of those in one place. Clearly the soap came out looking the neatest. It looked so cool. I want to do a full nebula painting with that. The soap bubbles came out so flipping cool. It was such a neat look. It looks like it's meant to be for a nebula. It's so cool. And then this was salt. I didn't do a lot of it, and salt on yellow doesn't show very well, so lesson learned. And then the rest of this I was like, yeah. This was flicking alcohol on it. It did that same weird eggy bloom thing. So odd. Yeah, and this was painting with the alcohol. I didn't like it at all. It just didn't work. So yeah, Yep, yep. That was my little texture study. It was just fun to play with the different kinds because I had never done alcohol. I had done salt once before, and soap. The only thing I've done salt on, I'm not going to pull it down again because it's on the wall right now, but it's one of my first, if not the first, mineral paper paintings I did, where I added salt onto it. It's really pretty. It's a picture that's on my background when I'm not streaming. I don't know how that looks anymore because I changed my borders to be the little Elcar's image. So I don't know where you can see it anymore without me just pulling it up somewhere. I can do that in a minute. Or now, because I'm talking about it. This, and then this, and then I have it here, and then here, and then is this one big enough? Yeah, that's good enough. This one. I used salt on that one. I was really happy. And that one with the mineral paper, that just came out super cool. I ended up doing, I didn't have very many of the watercolor inks at that time. I think I only had like one or two of them. So I did it. I think that one was almost entirely paint from my palette. And I started with a bunch of loose indigo, and then I flicked a bunch of stuff on there, and I added more indigo to it, and then while it was still really damp, I put the salt on it, and it just came out super cool. So I was always happy with that one. That one came out super neat. But yeah, what else do I have in this? While I'm already here and have it open. Oh, the one that we did the other day. The one where I was doing bubbles and Goddess gave me like the challenge to do something else with it. So mainly to make it look better. Oh, I guess it's not super visible because yeah. That one came out pretty neat. I like that one. But this chonky boy over here, this is the one that has all the mineral paper paintings in it. Don't know how well this is going to show. Maybe close some of the things I've got open. Oh yeah, I love this one. This has been one of my favorite mineral paper paintings I did. I absolutely adore how this one came out. I'm telling you, if you don't have mineral paper or haven't painted on it yet, it's worth the investment. Like seriously, just to experiment on. You saw the one scene I did that was like the aurora with like the snowy stuff and all that on it. Painting directly upon it is incredibly difficult because anything like fine you try to do still spreads. So it's not super great for detail. It gets super blobby and it spreads and goes everywhere. But this just came out so pretty. This one was an experiment right here. That is also, I think that's on watercolor paper. And I tried, I don't know, I think I did, I tried doing the process that Kendra Bradlart does on her mineral paper, but it was before I had mineral paper and before I had liquid watercolor. And I thought, well, let me just try putting random colors next to each other and then painting with the water in the blank space and then bridging them so that they would bloom. It didn't quite work as well as I'd hoped because the paint was too thick. But it was interesting looking to begin with, or at the end, so I kept it. So that was interesting. This one's kind of cute. Also mineral paper, kind of meeting in the middle, making kind of like little tornadoes. Yeah, right? The otherworldly look of this one is super, super weird. When you look at it one way, it looks kind of like a building, and when you look at it the other direction, these look like mountains. So it's super weird and kind of funky, and the green is just kind of like smog or something like that. Super wild looking. Oh yeah, I love this one. This one's been one of my favorites for a while now as well. Super pretty. And this guy is pretty fun looking as well. This is the one we did where I did on stream and I hit it with the heat gun and it never really truly flattened out. This is the one. It's interesting how it looks, but it crinkled up really bad from the heat gun. So lesson learned. This one's interesting. It makes me think of like kind of like those nebulas you see where like there were like mini explosions inside of it or something, where like a bunch of places kind of made a void and like exploded and then shrunk or something. It looked like a void in a bunch of areas and had a bunch of little streamers connected to each other. It's kind of how this one kind of came out. Oh, excuse me. I've been talking too much without drinking. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I thought I hit the mute button. I didn't. Sorry. You got all that coughing. All in. Pollen and dry. This one I like. This is when I got all the additional watercolor inks. It's got some silver in it. Excuse me. And this one was almost all metallic. I did some copper and some silver, some black in this one. This is nothing. This random one on watercolor paper is just random blend. It's just as murky as the other one. It's just everywhere. A bear profile? Oh yeah. I think that might be all on this. I've got a lot of empty space in this one still. Yeah, this is all just blank pages. But yeah, these little portfolios are a great investment. It's nice to have something to put stuff in. Now I just need to stop coughing. Excuse me. God. That's got to sound terrible. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Ugh. I'm alive. I sound like a frog. No, that was just rough. Thank you, Desert. I appreciate it. And thank you, Goddess. You guys are too nice to me. I like them. I like how they came out. Oh gosh. Let me grab this and bring it back and see how it's doing. That wet area in the middle just ended up spreading out being something funky. I knew it was going to be weird. It was so wet that the salt spread out before it could dry fully, and it just spread through the entire area that was wet. That's fine. Let's hit it with the dryer and get the salt off of it and see what it turned out to be. Easy. Right, not bad. Did I end up getting this room? No, I didn't. No. Go there. Oh, excuse me. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it came out kind of nice. Let's grab the garbage and that little cup thing again, and let's get the salt off of this. And then we are going to speed run a. Whoa. Hold that thought. There was some water up on the top I didn't see. Let me dry that really quick. There we go. Thank you, Goddess. Yeah, I like how this one came out. I mean, clearly there's a weird big area here where it was too wet, and then the salt spread in it while it was still wet. So it did the same salt spread, but across the entire wet area. But I mean, whatever. I mean, that's a part of it. So let's fix it now, hopefully without some water spilling.
Magnemite, a magnet Pokemon. Its means of floating through the air are not
Okay.
understood.
That got it all. Get this over here. And let's peel. Done. And peel this guy. This gentleman can go. And the last one. There we go. Yeah. I'm happy with that. It did the same thing as the last one, where weirdly it lends itself more to a vertical orientation than a horizontal one in a way, but I mean it's not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. As noted on the other old one I did with salt, it does not lend well to putting salt on yellow. It's too vibrant, too bright, and it just makes it disappear unless you get like really close to it. But yeah, the rest of it came out. Let me try to focus too close and then pull back a little. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I especially like this section right here. It's a nice combination of colors right there. Yeah. A new computer or phone wallpaper in Potentia? Maybe. It's certainly more vibrant than... Whoa, okay. I don't know how that happened, but somehow some paint from something I was doing flicked up onto this? Oh! Wow, really? When I was, the last thing I did before I put the salt on this one is I dotted some. I flicked with my brush and got a little bit of the indigo or a little mixture that I did on the edges on some of the other bits. And it must have flicked up on here and it's still wet. That's fine, I'll let it stay there and dry. But regardless, side by side, you can see the difference. This one's a bit more pastel and kind of faint, and this one's a much more vibrant. So I like the direction. Could be that 3 and 4 and... How did I do? 4? Yeah, it could be that 4 colors is too much. I might want to go back and reel it back and just do 2 opposing colors or 2 complementary colors and let them merge together and then try salt. Maybe do less salt so that it spreads more in the areas that it hits. So I'm learning lessons from this as I go. So I'll try that next time. In the meantime, excuse me, I think I'm going to be coughing like that for a while. Let me grab the mineral paper and pull it to the side. Excuse me. And let me get the... whatchamacallit out of the way. I still have a little bit of salt on here on the table, but I'll clear that later. I think we can grab our mineral paper. Same as the other ones, I'm going to do 9x12 paper. Alright, and I am just shuffling everything around me everywhere. I grabbed too much stuff without putting it all back where it belongs. That can go there for now. I have to put a lot of things up when I'm done. Let's grab... Oh, I can't do that. What colors do we want to do for this? I always like silver. I'll keep that to the side just in case. It's that pretty magenta violet kind of color. Yellow, maybe. Hmm. This looks nice. But I don't want to have too many across the color wheel colors. I don't want it to turn muddy like all of these usually do. I want it to blend together and still look good even when it blends a couple of them together. So I need to stick toward the same area. Like a red, magenta, I'll go green, but that's as far as I'll go that way. I'm not going to do yellow or blue as much as I like those colors. I can wait till next time. But maybe to go different, maybe a brown? Sure, let's hit it. Alright. Let's start mixing. I'll make sure this is where you can see it. It is. This is quinacridone magenta. And green is a leaf green. Don't want a lot of that because that's like the direct opposition to the magenta. Right, let's hit some red. This is cadmium red hue, so this is red with like a little bit orange. Off a little bit, and I'm going to be choking all night. This is a brown, burnt umber. Make it look like Dr. Pepper. Red, brown. And last up, I'm going to put it on there, but I'm not going to put it on the way I expected. I'm going to do like I've done before. I've got this silver metallic. I really love it, but I don't want to mix it in so that it spreads. I think I'm going to drop it on top. Maybe. Let's see. I'll go ahead and unscrew it and fill the dropper with it so it's ready to go. And let's grab this brush and get some water on from here. I'll get as close as I can without actually hitting it. Okay. And then back this way. And here. Excuse me, God, I'm sorry. Let's hit this side. Right. All right, and we're gonna get it really heavy with water, and we're gonna get it on this side. Some more water. Same right here. Water. And bring it this way. You hit it everywhere where the water didn't quite hit it. Okay, and let's hit it on the other side where the green's at. All right. All right. This back. Right. Grab our little pipette and try to get some of this out of here where it wells up. Just using a pipette to get up any of the pooling extra liquid. All right. I think that might be good. Grab some water in here and clean my pipette out. All right. Well, what have I done today? I've made a mess, and made a mess, basically, in the name of science and making a background wallpaper, potentially, at least the idea of it. So, what I'm going to do is let this sit. It needs to sit uninterrupted for a couple hours to dry. And when it comes out at the end will look somewhat like this. We'll see. Let me turn the light off above it. At least the light won't be reflecting in it so bad. You'll be able to see it. There's kind of enough light. You can see it somewhat what it's going to be. I think it'll obviously come out more once it dries, and especially more once I can scan it in and you can see it full screen, like after having been hit with light from the scanner going past it, right? And all the silver will pop a little bit more too. So I think it'll be fine. Let me spin the light back on. Yeah, I think that'll be it for me for today. I've done a lot. Started with this guy, minus the pop that landed on there by accident. My bad. A little pop of indigo. It'll dry. It'll be fine. And the slightly darker, more rich version of it. I like how that one came out. Fun messes. And then, this guy, once it dries, we'll see what it looks like. You know, because you can't really tell it now. It's kind of mostly wet. It'll look pretty much like this, but, you know, dry and less glossy. Did I invest in a scanner? No, I already had one. I didn't get a good scanner. I have a document scanner that was a part of a Xerox. No, Xerox? Xerox, yes, a Xerox printer that I got because it wasn't being used anymore and it was going in the trash. And I'm like, save it. Even like 15% of toner I'll never use. It'll be thousands of pages and I'll never use that much. And if I want toner, I'll just buy cheap toner online somewhere. But the scanner is a document scanner. It's like an office scanner. It's just never going to be super high quality, high resolution. But it should suffice enough, I think, to scan this and then we do color correction and get it kind of close to what they look like. Getting a proper like photo scanner at some point in my future might be worth it. I saw Epson and some other like brands make a decent quality one that's pretty color accurate and has like built-in stitching so that it would if I did bigger paintings and I scanned like 2 or 4 quadrants or whatever, it would help auto stitch them together. I don't know if I would use the automatic stitching, but it's a feature, so I might get that. We'll see. But it's like $100 to $200, give or take, for that, and I really don't necessarily need one. If I was going to spend the money, I'd almost much rather get a good digital SLR to use not just for a camera for what I do here, but to use, you know, elsewhere, other projects, things like that. So we'll see. I mean, for now, I think the basic scanner I've got on there will work. I guess in the long run, so long as you find a scanner, a flatbed that's got a really decent DPI, like 300 or higher DPI, most go up to like 1200 or higher. I think I've seen 2400 out there too. And just try to look for reviews, I guess, and see what people say about them. If they use them for scanning in art, for example, and what the color accuracy looks like. I already know that getting the color matching to work is going to be an after the fact thing. Oh no, you've got a document scanner and it leaves red and green lines. Oh yuck, no. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, right? Like, if you get a flatbed scanner, it has pros and cons, and the digital camera is going to have pros and cons. Like, the digital camera, excuse me, is never truly going to have proper perspective. It's always going to want to blow it out in one portion or another. It might have like a slight fisheye, or it might be at a slight angle, so then you're going to have to like pan and crop it, and some parts might be out of focus while the other parts are sharp. Getting it to line up and be absolutely perfect for document or art photography is going to be really rough. A flatbed scanner, on the other hand, it's got some pros in that everything on it's going to be incredibly flat at the same distance from the scanner surface, so it's all going to be in focus, but it has to be a good scanner. And it's got to have decent resolution and decent color accuracy, or what you're starting with is going to be impossible to repair. So it's just tough. You're still on the lookout here and might just need to spend the money. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where is the best place to find stuff like that on the cheap, because anytime you get any sort of technological device used, you are almost definitely buying somebody else's problem that they did not disclose when they sold it, right? And then you're stuck for it, and you could have just bought the product. Thankfully, a scanner doesn't have to be the most expensive thing that you could purchase, right? Buying a good DSLR is way more expensive than a scanner. But a scanner is going to be a unitasker to hell. You're only going to use it for scanning your art. But if you need that, you can do that. If you have an extreme need and you're going to want to save it for the future before you sell your print, so you've got, you reserve the digital rights to it and use it for other things, you're going to want a good scanner or something to take a picture of that. Alternatively, I saw online, and this is way more expensive in the long run, but fine in the short run if you need to get really high quality renders of the things you care about the most, you can go to third parties. I've seen And there are actual art scanners, like people art scanners, that will do the work and like prepare it and give you like incredibly high resolution scans of those. And it's not going to break the bank, but if you're going to scan 5 things per month, it's too expensive. It would be better to get your own scanner because over time it's going to pay for itself, right? Especially if you're selling your art. So yeah, I can imagine. It's better to get a scanner and just go with it. I would, yeah. I don't have great advice because I'm in the hunt for what is going to work for me too because I still don't know. I'm gonna let all this dry and I'm gonna try the flatbed scanner I've got. I already know that it doesn't color match very well. I think I remember like reds don't come out incredibly well. They come off some weird funky color, but all the other colors are good. So it's like I'm gonna have to partially color match and tweak shit. I just don't know how it's gonna come out. But I'll have it. I'll scan it and we'll see what it looks like. Maybe before I do any color matching attempts, or maybe even after, I'll show the actual product, the default, what it comes out of the scanner like, and then what my best attempt at a color match is, and we'll just kind of see what it looks like. We'll see what it does. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to go ahead, let this dry, clean up all the rest of my mess, put up everything that I pulled out. I've got all kinds of stuff to put up. I'm going to head out and end for the night. Desert, Goddess, thank you both so much for hanging out and watching with me. I absolutely appreciate it. You guys being here, you guys are a genuine joy to have hanging out and talking with me. I appreciate you guys, especially after only doing this for like a couple months. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. I could just be yapping to myself, so I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. At some point, maybe we can figure out doing something together. I don't know what. I think we had mentioned it once or twice, but I love the idea of maybe doing like a paint along or something like that. So maybe we can figure out something someday in the future when we can all kind of be available. Yeah, we'll figure that out. All right, I'm done yapping. I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Peace. Peace, love, and crabs? No, whatever. See you later. Bear out.